I'll do is I'll count you down from 5.
Okay.
Finish counting, go ahead and start.
Okay.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. For WPDS News, I'm Ken Owen. White House sources say 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in Tuesday's invasion of Grenada. Secretary of State George Shultz says the U.S. move is aimed at protecting the approximately 1,000 Americans living on that Caribbean island. Shultz says the U.S. forces met with resistance from Cubans on Grenada. The secretary doesn't expect the American troops to stay on the island long, but he has set no timetable for their departure. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the death toll now stands at 214 U.S. Marines and sailors in the terrorist bombing of the military compound in Beirut. The bodies of the U.S. servicemen are being shipped home, while workers continue to sift through the debris of the compound in search of more victims of the bombing. Indiana Congressman Phil Sharp is calling for the resignation of Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger. Sharp says U.S. troops in Lebanon weren't given enough protection, and he says that's Weinberger's fault. U.S. officials say they're winding down their search for the flight recorders from the Korean jetliner downed by the Soviets last month. An 8-week search has yielded few clues as to where the black boxes could be. Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau could make a trip to Europe soon. Officials say he may make a bid to mediate the arms stalemate between the U.S. and the Soviets. Researchers say they're working around the clock on a theory that a plant fungus may actually cause AIDS. The theory is that a plant fungus spews out chemicals suppressing the body's natural defense against disease. A federal judge in Washington has declined to issue an immediate ruling invalidating President Reagan's firing of 3 members of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission. 2 of the fired commissioners have filed suit, saying the president doesn't have the power to fire them. Chrysler's brush with bankruptcy is a fading memory. The nation's 3rd largest automaker says its profit for the first 9 months of this year tops any full-year profit in the company's history. We paid more for cars, food, and housing last month. The Labor Department reports the Consumer Price Index jumped 0.5% in September. That's the biggest increase since May. But economists say the hike in the CPI is no cause for alarm. Back in Indiana, Democratic State Senator Wayne Townsend says the state's auto license branch system is corrupt and says he'll introduce legislation in the next session of the Indiana General Assembly that would abolish the system. Just last week, Townsend announced he's seeking the Democratic nomination for governor in next May's primary. A former lawmaker is on trial. Former Richmond State Senator Marlon McDaniel is charged with perjury as well as destroying property and making a false police report. Testimony against the 50-year-old McDaniel is being heard in Richmond. In sports, the Pacers have sent forward Hank McDowell to San Diego for future considerations. McDowell has averaged about 3 points a game in his first 2 NBA seasons. Meanwhile, the NBA says talks between the league and its referees union are in limbo. Negotiations were postponed yesterday but are scheduled to resume today. The NBA season begins on tomorrow, and the league says it'll use substitute refs if the dispute isn't resolved by then. New York Yankee third baseman Greg Nettles and pitcher Elias Sosa of the San Diego Padres have filed for free agency. Nettles hit .266 with 20 homers and 75 RBIs last year, and the veteran's agent says Nettles would like to stay with the Yanks. There are now 37 players in the free agent pool. The re-entry draft is scheduled for November 7th. In today's weather, it should be sunny, a high near 61 degrees. Tonight, clear and cool, our low dropping down to about 45. And tomorrow should be mostly sunny, a little bit warmer, the high near 71. Currently, it's 64 degrees. For WPDS News, I'm Ken Owen.
Okay, relax.
I don't know how that looked or how that sounded, but
I got you kind of scooted in there one time.
that's all right.